pleasure to welcome you all to this second edition of our Conservancies Investment Forum. The whole idea for the forum is really to bring all of us together into a conversation around how we do our work and how we can support our conservancies in Kenya, but also how we can extend to other neighboring countries, the whole of Africa, and the global south.
So we all know that the funding landscape is shifting quite dramatically. I believe most of us have been hit in the past 1 or 2 years by what happened due to the foreign determination by the US government to stop funding under the USAID programs. We are quite endangered as a country. We are considered to be the third most biodiverse country in Africa. And so if that is the case, then how do we really use our natural resources to sustain us beyond donor funding?
We cannot depend on donor funding to keep us going forward. We've got to find ways for sustainable conservation. And the people with money that are hardly ever in the room are private sector. So as a trust fund, when we understood that this forum was going to be bringing conservancies to interact with private sector to see how they can both scale up what they're doing, but also find private investments that support their conservancies, we thought this is a very catalytic event to support.
As Government of Kenya, we do not have enough funds, enough human resource, enough technical experience to be able to do wildlife conservation from Nairobi. And therefore, we depend very heavily on NGOs at the grassroots, who we co-create programs and projects with. Many people are happy to support conservation. They just do not know how. So KWCA becomes a good how, the trust fund becomes a good how. And people want to put money where they feel there's going to be value for it. I can at least say that I think, in my experience of 2.5 years, the Kenya Wildlife Conservancies Association is a worthy partner. The leadership is good. They are driven by very good data. There's a lot of commitment. Most of the men and women serving there are also grassroots people, which means they have authenticity from bottom going up.
Today really brought everything to life. You know, for years now, since 2021, we've been working with KWCA, with regional conservancy associations, with individual conservancies on so many different things, on helping to mobilize funding, on various trainings that we've done, proposals that we've developed. And the most recent activity we've done with some of the conservancies is to support business planning. And when we chatted about that activity, KWCA had suggested that they wanted to host this next investor forum. They'd already done it once before, and they wanted this one to be even bigger and better. And it's just been fantastic.
In terms of economy and what Laikipia is getting in terms of conservation, as per 2024, we are talking about 6.5 billion Kenya shilling coming from conservancies. This is from both private and community conservancies working together to drive the economy.
I want you to imagine for me, if there was something that we could do in the conservancies of Kenya that could lift hundreds of thousands of people out of poverty, that could generate up to 100 billion shillings of extra revenue in the form of food that this country could consume or even export. If we could do all this while improving our soil, our water, our vegetation, our climate, creating more space for wildlife, for tourism opportunities, for other revenue activities down the value chain. And if we could do all of this and it was completely and utterly in line with the culture and the passion of the people who set aside their land for conservation in the first place, would you think I'm crazy? Well, the reality is that is what livestock can bring to Kenya Conservancies.
Conservancy is one of key areas that we can invest heavily in beekeeping. In Kenya, we are producing around 17,000 metric tons, worth 19.2 billion annually. It's just honey. There are quite a number of other products. Among them is beeswax. We have propolis, we have pollen, we have royal jelly. We also have the bee venom, and it's interesting to note that honey is the cheapest among them all. But it's where we need to start. When we talk of products like bee venom, where a gram of bee venom costs more than 5,000 Kenyan shillings, I can tell you the potential we have in beekeeping as a sector.
Back home, we do have a similar process, but our process is normally driven by civil society organizations, by government, and the conservancies normally are just the recipients in terms of that process. What I have seen here, which is the difference, was how skilled conservancies were in presenting their businesses themselves, and how passionate they are about conservation. We are also passionate, but I think from a business point of view, I learned something different, that these conservancies are so skilled that, you know, in terms of negotiations and investment, you can put them any day. They will be able to negotiate these contracts or whatever investment they want to have in their area. The other one was also their business plans. I was impressed that they had economists in their conservancies, that they employed themselves to be able to do this for themselves.
We did an investors forum in 2016 in Tanzania, and it was a very big event. So something that I'm learning here, that thing I mentioned earlier, the forum, which is free from political or investors' influence to the forum. We need community to have more space and freedom to express their views and how they can pitch their wildlife management areas and their conservancies.
You know, when you look at our country today, and as a tourism player for the past 20 years, 25 years actually, we've only scratched the surface. There's a lot more that we can get out of our country in a sustainable way.
We have a future. It's a bright future. Everybody, let's get on board. I think thank you very much to KWCA and our donors, and for all of you. And my clarion call is let's do it, because there is a lot of potential here.
This is not a journey that KWCA can do alone. We need partners. We need you. We need you to tell a friend, and to encourage them that we can actually turn these conservancies into spaces for investment that then support the community and the wildlife that we all care, and biodiversity in general.